Hey, gang, today is the 13th of March. It really is tax season. I mean, we're now in the 11th hour. It's tax season. The last thing you want to find out is that you owe more than you anticipated because your advisor left taxes out of the equation. What differentiates my friend Steve Cordasco and the Cordasco Financial Network, they're a part of Mercer Advisors, is their tax-centric planning and state-of-the-art tools used to formulate your customized plan. On-staff CPAs can help you better understand specific tax implications and how they could impact your future goals and priorities. Why not call them and schedule a consultation? It's not too late for this year. 855-558-3500. Cordasco Financial Network, that's a trade name owned by Mercer Global Advisors. Investment advisory services are offered through Mercer Global Advisors, Inc. That's an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities are provided through Andrew Garrett, Inc., a member of FINRA and SIPC. Consultation with your tax professional, that's always recommended. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Our thumbnail, as we call it, which is a little slide that advertises and sets the stage for the YouTube presentation of the Smerconish.com daily headlines, says everything, everywhere, all at once. Kind of a reference to the Best Picture selection last night of the Oscars, but also wishful thinking that that's not what transpires at banks all across the country today. Everything, everywhere, all at once is not what we want when it comes to banking. I'll get to today's poll question on that subject in just a moment. Last night, the 95th Academy Awards held at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. I watched a little. Did you watch a little bit of the Academy?
I watched a little. I watched the opening monologue, and I actually thought what a lot of the headlines this morning thought, which is we're kind of back to basics. Like, this is nice, and they're trying to tamper everything down, and it's I just thought it was well done. I thought the styles were lovely. I like watching the red carpet, which wasn't red, so I enjoyed it.
I'm a Billy Crystal fan.
Oh,
if Billy's not going to do it, if Billy's too old to do it, if Billy's just disinterested, then Jimmy Kimmel is just fine with me.
Oh, good to know.
I think Jimmy Kimmel's a funny guy.
He is.
I like him from Howard. I feel like I know much more about Jimmy Kimmel from his friendship with Howard Stern and his many appearances there than I do the Jimmy Kimmel program, which I can't stay up to see. But I thought he was funny. I liked the way that he, and he had no choice, right? But to go there relative to Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Had to
weave that in constantly throughout the course of the broadcast. Okay, we agree, right?
The
you got to go there.
Just do what you did last year.
You got to go there.
Just sit there.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the opposite of that. Michelle Yeoh wins the Best Actress Award.
Yeah.
And in her acceptance speech seeks to inspire young women everywhere by saying, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, don't let anybody ever tell you that you're past your prime. We all know what that's a reference to.
Well, I don't think she was trying to inspire young women, was she? I think she was trying to inspire older women.
Okay. The point is, she made reference to what we know, where it came from.
Of course.
Don Lemon on the CNN morning program. So this morning in the 5 a.m. hour, I was very eager to see how that would be presented.
Oh.
A portion of her acceptance speech was broadcast, but not all of it. Not that line.
Really?
So then I thought, you may have noticed when you came in today, I had the sound up on the CNN monitor.
I actually think I got a little glimpse of life inside the Smerconish household when I walked into the studio this morning, because you had on the Grateful Dead and that audio. I think something was playing on your computer and your cell phone. It was like a cacophony. And I was like, this is what he does.
And I was on a Peloton bike with Hannah Corbin.
Exactly.
So I thought, okay, in the 5 a.m. hour, which is before the morning show gets rolling, they did not play the totality of the Michelle Yeoh comment about don't let anybody ever tell you.
Okay, did they take advantage of it later?
So now it's 6 a.m.
Come on.
And Don Lemon is on with Caitlin Collins, and they are presenting what happened at the Oscars last night. They didn't take it either.
Honestly.
And I think it was a missed opportunity.
Okay, so what you do is, tell me how you would handle it. You play it, and then you look right in the camera, and you say, well played.
Right.
You look right in the camera, and you say, well done, Michelle Yeoh. Like, that's it. And then, and then move on. But that would have picked up.
In the same way that Jimmy Kimmel knew to just weave it in, I think it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins and Don Lemon, all
there
three.
You go, right.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Which have you seen or not seen?
Have not.
Have not either.
You have not seen it either.
I haven't, but I got to say, the clips that they were playing last night, might not have made me want to see it.
I've always loved Jamie Lee Curtis.
I know you have.
Loved Jamie Lee Curtis. Remember her as the hooker in Trading Places.
Exactly.
She was the best. You know,
with a big heart.
Nothing's free. What did she say to him? Louis, you know, everything costs money or some such thing as she covers her breasts.
Right.
She was topless in that. Back in the day, that was like a big deal.
Now we know why you like her.
So very happy, very, very happy for
that was
for
a neat
her.
moment.
Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Haven't seen that either.
Haven't either. But that, I mean, there just seemed to be, everyone seemed very moved by the wins. Like, it was a very moving night, if that makes sense. Everyone's always moved and excited about an Oscar, but the winners last night particularly so.
You knew Maverick was not going to get Best Picture, right? Just too pedestrian
I wouldn't
for
have
Hollywood.
known, except for I saw the Smerconish poll, and then I realized that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a story behind that. Okay, Jimmy Kimmel was funny. We've agreed on that. One last thing about Chris Rock. I've watched twice the Chris Rock. Yes, both times on Peloton, but I've watched twice the Chris Rock Netflix special and think it's terrific. He looks different to me. I know I told you that last week, and I don't know if you agreed. Something is different about Chris Rock. But anyway, he's funny as hell.
Oh, wait. If you think he looks different, did you see Hugh Grant on the red carpet last night?
Yeah, I thought he looked great.
He looked terrible.
I thought he looked great.
What are you talking about? I wanted to moisturize himself.
He referred himself as a scrotum, if you saw when he came out.
Why? Because he's so wrinkly?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
he said that.
Now
he said that.
Now I can't unsee that. Thanks for that.
Chris Rock, the special, he flubbed a line, but it was absolutely live.
Yeah.
And I guess he mixed up concussion with emancipation.
Right. The line was concussion.
I would have left it. I would have left it.
The one I saw was the flub.
Me
the
too.
one I saw on that
too.
Sunday.
Me too.
But in subsequent, what they do?
Yeah, they've scrubbed it now. They've scrubbed it. Right. It's funny. I watched it coincidentally the same night you watched it, which was a night after it aired.
Right. But they hadn't cleaned it up yet.
No. Now they have.
Interesting.
Again, deal with it. Deal with it.
If you're taping something.
If they weren't taping it, it was live.
No. I understand that. But then
was
they
live.
were airing it taped. You would fix it.
No,
I
disagree
disagree with you.
Not after it was out there for both days. I would not. Today's poll question, ladies and gentlemen, should the government have protected all SVB deposits, Silicon Valley Bank deposits, not just those at or below the FDIC limit of $250,000? Can't wait to see how the final tally comes in on this. I made the point before that ideology seems to go out the window in these type of situations. It certainly did back in 2008. I remember well, in the abstract, in some classroom, people have thoughts as to what the government role should be. But all of a sudden, when they have to pull out a fire hose, it seems like nobody is thinking in terms of the big picture and their philosophy. Some are, but many are not. In this case, I think the interesting question is, if you cover all deposits, and I think the number is 87 or 89% of the deposits at SVB were in excess of $250,000, which is stunning. Roku, $400+ million in liquid cash in their account at SVB. Think about that. But if you cover all deposits, are you preventing a run on banks, which is what they're seeking to do? Because now we sit back and we say, oh, okay, the depositors didn't lose because the government did the right thing. Or do you instead say, well, wait a minute, they can't possibly protect all banks. They can't do what they just did for SVB for my bank. Therefore, I better go to the bank today and withdraw everything. It's a really interesting question. That's what I'm getting at with the poll question today. So make sure that you please go there and cast a ballot on that. More headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Just a quick follow-up impact segment. An interesting story, at least I thought so, TC thought so, from Philadelphia, where a woman shoots and kills a pit bull on the streets of Philadelphia. Not just any woman, she's an FBI agent, and she's the head of the local FBI office. And initially, the owner of the pit bull said, my dog never had any issues. Then there was some evidence that this dog had issues, at least in its own apartment complex. The question became one of, is the FBI agent going to be charged? And over the course of the weekend, we learned she is not going to be charged.
She is not going to be charged, yeah. The story is that the pit bull and the
lunged
FBI
at
agent's
her.
dog had
Right.
an altercation. She tried to save her dog, and then the pit bull went after her, shot him in the hindquarters, and she died.
Jane Rowe is a spokesperson for the DA's office who said surveillance video indicated that the agent had been sitting on a bench when the pit bull rushed forward and pulled the dog off her lap,
Yikes.
causing the agent to intervene and try to separate the animals before drawing her weapon and shooting the pit bull in its hindquarters at close range. A law enforcement source with knowledge of the investigation said that this does not meet the standard of recklessness. It does not meet the standard for animal cruelty either.
Wow.
Okay, TC, did you see in the Smerconish.com daily newsletter over the weekend, Morant, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Memphis Grizzlies all-star point guard in a strip joint with like 50 grand that he used for tips all over the room while he was getting lap dances.
Like, is that what you do? I saw that, and
That's
I thought,
what 50 grand gets you.
is that like, okay, so 50 grand in what denominations?
Great
Literally
question.
covering every single surface of the room. The floor, the tables, the counters, everything in the room while he's sitting on the couch getting the lap dance.
By the way, the female owner of the establishment says absolute gentleman, like a great customer.
I'm sure.
And a nice guy.
There you go.
And
Hey.
she said that other sports stars have come in to this establishment
Yeah.
and they've been their behavior's been horrible toward the women, that they've
Yeah.
thrown coinage at them and
Oh.
so forth,
Oh,
and they've
yeah.
been very demanding.
Yeah.
But
Demeaning.
Morant,
Yeah.
a total gentleman as he spends his 50 grand
Hey, you
at a
got
strip
that.
joint.
You got that kind of money. That's fine. The pictures were, I thought, rather astonishing.
I'm not bringing it up just for the prurient interest and the great photos that we were able to run at Smerconish.com.
By the way, where did those photos come from?
I don't know. I guess a surveillance
Yeah,
camera?
that's a little bit like, if I were John Morant, I wouldn't want those
But
photos
I,
out, right?
I have an ulterior motive in bringing up the story.
You do?
I do.
Oh,
So the strip joint, which is in Glendale, Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
is called Shotgun Willie's.
Yeah.
Shotgun Willie's.
okay.
In the novel,
No.
talk.
No.
Well, kinda. This is what it made me think of. If you remember, my Stan Powers, Stanislaw Pawlowski, who is born and raised in the Fort Myers area of Florida, right? My fictional character, he graduates from high school and goes to work as a barkeep and learns he has a talent for playing music that people like to drink to, right?
Right.
And it's a very redneck bar. What's the name of the bar I created for my character in Talk? Shooters,
Yeah.
owned by a person named Willie.
Oh.
So this is Shotgun Willie's. Okay, mine was
Shooters.
Shooters was owned by Willie Blake, a retired local cop who had gone out on disability. Local legend had it that Willie had taken a couple of druggies out during a bust in Sarasota when he shot first and asked questions later, but not before one of the bad guys managed to get off a shot of his own which hit Willie in his left leg. The incident was the origin of both his limp and the name of the bar. Willie had a son who was a year ahead of me in high school and a fellow stoner, which is the only reason why I got hired. Today, whenever reporters for radio trades ask me about mentors who've been instrumental in my success, Willie Blake is the first person I mention. What station did he program is usually some shithead's reply.
Did you just
The
wanna-
world
you're
of
just
talk.
Dying to read that last line.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like Shotgun
yeah.
Willie's, and I've got Shooters owned by Willie.
Amazing.
So there you go.
I love it.
TC, have you ever been hazed?
I have never been hazed, but I was never a varsity athlete. And I am just astonished. I have to say,
Do you
in this day and age,
Right.
how are these stories still coming to light?
Do you deny being forced to run naked through the halls of the North Carolina School of Animal Husbandry and Science with nothing but your slide rule?
I never said I didn't do that. Is that hazing?
So what happened at Harvard?
So evidently the Harvard women's hockey team is facing allegations of hazing. Evidently there was a naked skate again, that's not necessarily hazing. If everybody's doing it and that's fun, that's just like fun.
Well, but
like
if you're forced to do it.
Correct. But there's like a streaking thing that happens at Harvard now. It didn't happen when I was there, but it has happened in recent years that everyone runs through the yard naked. It's not hazing. It's just fun. So, but evidently this was not fun. The naked skates were pressured to do the naked skates. There was a ton of alcohol involved for this sort of initiation week. And they also were asked to, quote, put condoms on bananas, fake orgasms, and act out skills that reference their sexual orientation. So there's that. I don't know exactly what was going on, but this is just, come on,
okay,
ladies, come on.
Okay, how about this? How about this? At the same time, and from Utah, headline, this is from the Salt Lake Tribune, Utah college soccer player sues after being asked sexual questions in initiation ritual. One by one, each of the new players was called up to the front of the bus as it weaved its way out of Utah toward the first out-of-state match of the season for the women's soccer team. From the back, Westminster freshman Naomi Kell watched the initiation ritual, worried that when it would be her turn, she hadn't known about it before the trip. She didn't want to sit in what the team leaders had dubbed the hot seat, a spot, this is the horrible part, directly across the aisle from their male coach.
Couldn't believe that line. Couldn't believe it. I mean,
bad to worse. If it's just the ladies playing Truth or Dare or some such thing.
No, come on. It doesn't matter. It's worse.
But like
maybe
the coach is there.
It's awful, but it doesn't. I mean, it would.
By the way,
it would be just as bad if it was a female coach.
Listen to this, TC. You sit in the hot seat, and they would pull a light fixture down from the ceiling to shine on the occupant like it was an interrogation over a microphone forced into their hands. Freshmen and transfer players instructed to answer sexually explicit questions while looking at the coach. How many partners have you had? Positions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I looked at this duo of stories and just thought,
yeah,
in this day and age,
who could think?
Who could think this was a good idea?
Exactly.
It wouldn't get out. It was still funny. Like, come on.
This is hard to do for radio. We did it on television on Saturday. I love the story. You know, from time to time, we'll talk about license plates that don't get through the DMV screening process. Picture this, LUVTOFU, as in maybe love tofu. Love tofu.
What do you mean maybe?
Which is what this vegan. See, I wanted to question him as to his
I'm
vegan.
Still trying to track him down. No,
right.
It's legit. I know all about him online. It's completely legit.
Tell me.
So he was a councilman.
Yep.
He has a special needs son, and they moved to Maine in order to be able to grow cannabis to give their special needs son who has epilepsy, and they give him just a little bit of marijuana, and he stops his seizures. It's like heartbreaking to watch. Like over millions and millions of people have watched this video of him giving that to his son. So he's living by the land. He's the real deal. This is
love tofu.
Yeah, this is legit
tofu. They wouldn't let it go through. I'm sure you can figure out why.
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting. The director of communications for the Secretary of State said, "Well, we offered him a plate that is the number 3 GAN, and he declined."
Yeah, he didn't want that.
Well, why wouldn't he want vegan if he really wanted love tofu?
Well, would you want something that wasn't your idea? Come on.
I'm just saying if the whole point was that he's vegan and wanted to promote that, I don't know. I thought it was curious. I thought it was curious, but he doesn't want it.
I would like to shout out my father, please, because the reason that we got this headline is that on Saturday, he heard the story on WRAL in Raleigh, North Carolina, and texted me whether we were on the case. Very fun.
Another one that has made the cut from Smerconish.com. Some of these were from the weekend. They were just so damn good that we wanted to make sure that we got them in.
True.
From Quebec, giving the middle finger is a God-given right.
Amen.
So apparently it's like a dispute among neighbors, kind of like the light dispute that we had a couple of days ago. Judge Galiastasos, I hope, in an apparent reference to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, quote, flipping the proverbial bird. I love the fact that Canada enshrines in its constitution, not exactly, but you get the point. Flipping the proverbial bird is a God-given, charter-enshrined right that belongs to every red-blooded Canadian. It may not be civil. It may not be polite. It may not be gentlemanly. Nevertheless, it does not trigger criminal liability. Love that story. Finally, I'll just mention this. I guess it was bound to happen. Vinyl outsold CDs for the first time since 1987.
Why do you say it was bound to happen?
Well, because I think there's no sort of nostalgia in saying, oh, I'll still buy, even though we all use MP3s.
Okay, you're seeing it as a negative to CDs, not as a positive for vinyl.
Yeah, like there's no warmth that I feel about CDs.
Yeah, but
we all feel warmth.
Collection.
Yeah, we all feel warmth about vinyl. And when I read it, it took me back to those mid-'80s and two tower record stores, one on South Street in Philadelphia and the other on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, both of which I just loved to go shop and spent way over my budget every time I was in each of them. It's funny because the Hollywood one, I'll continue to see it brought up again in movies. The Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson movie.
The documentary?
Not the documentary, the multi-part one that has, oh God, who's the stoner? I love him.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, right. He's right there at Tower Records on Sunset, and I'm like, yeah, I remember the real story. Vinyl outsold CDs for the first time since 1987. Poll question today at Smerconish.com. Should the government have protected all SVB deposits, not just those at or below the FDIC limit of $250,000. It'll be interesting to see the final result. Go cast your ballot. Please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, ring the bell, and you'll be notified anytime we're live. Everybody else, see you tomorrow.